Hi everyone, been a while here. So, welcome to another interesting episode of our Power Platform Space. Today we're going to be talking about the building leave request application. So, this will be the part two of my previous video on this. So if you haven't seen that, you can go check the previous video. So we started a few things on our Power apps and SharePoint lists. So today we are going to continue a few functionalities that are still missing in our application. So let's get right into it. Okay, so just a few recap from our last video. We have this app that we had built with Power Apps, and we also created our SharePoint list. We started with this actually, where we created our SharePoint list with all of the columns that we need, the title, the requester, the start date, end date, so and all of this. As time goes on, we might need to create some additional columns, but let's just get started with this. So we continued by creating an app from scratch. We inserted this image, inserted the buttons, inserted our form on this screen. We are able to insert a submit button which submits, the requests in on our SharePoint list, right? So which currently works fine. We are able to put all of this information and we are able to submit them right here. So today we'll continue on a few things that we are still missing. So remember we have a new request button here, which takes us to this request form. However, we still have the request history button, which isn't taking us anywhere yet, but we should have a screen for the request history. So how do we go about that? So let's just create a new screen. So to display several information from a particular data source, we use a gallery. So we can see different templates of gallery that we have. So we'll choose this particular one. So what we are trying to do here is to um, show the list of requests coming from the application, the SharePoint list. So we can select this, choose this template. So now I want to choose my data source. So this is just a sample data source and I'll connect it to my data source, which is my SharePoint list, which is leave request, right? So I have this and I can see the title of my request, the name, my name that as the requester, and okay, this is the start date. Can make some additional changes on this as well to say, okay, so let's say we want to show the start date. Between start date and end date, we can change this to start date, and so let's just put a space just to indicate, then this item dot end date. So now it shows us the date, the start date and the end date. So which means this should tell us that this leave request is between this date to this date. You can as well insert, additional labels inside this gallery and call it, um, let's say the leave type. So we want to see which leave type is it. Dot value, because it's a choice field. So we have it as annual leave. So this is currently showing, the requests that I've created. So if I go here, if I submit a new request, it should automatically show up here. So let me just select another one. Sick leave for February, something like that. So this title, as the case may be, it might not be really important. So I want to just make this not required and remove it if it's not needed. So let's say my department is this, select sick leave, and I select the start date to be say 28 to maybe March, right? So Yeah, we're still going to get into this where it should automatically calculate the difference between our start date and end date. Yeah. So manager, I'll still select myself. Okay. Let me select my name as the manager. Sorry, I don't have that here. Okay, so let me select myself as a manager here for now. So here now, I can submit this again. Okay, so that has been submitted. So here now we should also have like a prompt to tell us that the request has been submitted, maybe a success screen or something. So here now, if I come back here, we can see that we now have this um showing on the gallery automatically. If we go back to our data source and refresh the page, we should also see the requests that was just submitted on that list as well, which is this, right? So this gallery is just displaying all the records that we have on this particular list here. So I think we are fine now. Okay, so coming back to the form, maybe there are a couple of things that we need to also do. So maybe one of the things is for the requester, I might want it to automatically pick the name of whoever is approving the request. I mean, whoever is making the request, rather. So one of the things I do personally, there is a particular connector called Office 365 users. So I just come here at the Office 365 users, then once that is done, I can go back here to my app and go to the on start of my app, right? So I'll set a variable, call it my profile, right? And what do I set it to? So the connector, I'll put the Office 365 users dot my profile. So this connector is to help you get details about the profile of whoever is logged in and using the app. So you can get different attributes of the user, like the user's email, user's display name, user's job title, department, a couple of things. There is a default one on on Power Apps, which is user, but it is limited to only getting user full name, user email, and user image. But this, extends those attributes that you can get. So we'll see the reason why we are doing this very shortly. So I set this to my profile. So which means if I run on start here now, if I come here and insert a label, let me just to do a test to be sure this works. I'll just insert a label on this screen and reference the variable that I just set here, which is my profile dot. So you can see different attributes. I can get the city, company name, department, display name, a lot of things that I have here. So all these are dependent on your administrator. So all of these attributes has to be configured from the back end while creating your account. So those are the things that will show up. However, there are certain ones that are quite constant and very compulsory, which is your email and your display name. Every other one might be optional, but if you have them configured, then it shows you those names, those attributes rather. So if I select my profile.mail, for example, it should show me my email address, right? If I change it to my profile.display name, right? So this also shows me my display name, so which means this is working currently. So my profile is the name of our variable, then we can get every other attributes that we want to get by putting that attribute here. So this works, so I'll just delete this. So why I'm doing this is to get the name of whoever is logged in right here. So the requester field is a person field. If it were just a single line of text, we could just easily go to the default of this. So let's say that this is the title field. Let's assume that this title field is where we have our name, the requester's name. So I can just come here and say my profile dot display name, right? And you see that it automatically shows my display name. So if any other person logs in, it shows the person's display name as well. So that's the way it works. However, we are using a person's field, which is more complex than just a single line of text. So there is a kind of function that we need to put in here. So let me just change this back to parent.default that was there initially. Parent.default. Okay, so that is fine. So here now I have some sort of gibberish that might put you might not really understand, but I'll try as much as possible to break it down. So because a person field is a complex field, it has a lot of attributes combined into it. It has the email, the display name, the department, the job title, and a couple of things like that. So there is a particular kind of formula I always use. So I'll just copy that and put here now. Okay, so copied. So I'll just go to my default selected items. So let me unlock this data card. So it's important that you also unlock data cards in your forms so you can change certain properties of the controls you have. So if not, you see that some of them will be grayed out. For example, if I go to this place, I want to change the default selected items. You see that this is grayed out and I can't change it. So I have to first unlock from the right hand side here. So the one we want to change here is the default selected item for the requester. So I'll just paste this. Okay, so you can see that this automatically populates. So let me just explain this a little. So what this means is because it's a complex field, these fields or values are always required. So this O data type is constant when you are using a choice field, a lookup field, or a person field. Then email, which is the my profile. Remember we set a variable called my profile. So the email is the my profile.mail. The claims, you need to put this set of string, then combine it or concatenate it with the email. And then display name, of course, my profile.displayName, job title, my profile.department for department as well. Then picture is user.image. So we have all of this, so which means it automatically picks the person's name. So we might also want to restrict people from making changes to the name that was selected here. So it automatically selects your name, but you're unable to change it. So how do we do that? We just go to the display mode and change the display mode from parent.display mode to change it to .view or .disabled, whichever one that you know. So dot view just looks like this, or we can make it dot disabled, we just make it looks grayed out, right? So it shows that this is a field that has value, but it's grayed out. You can't make changes to it, right? So here now I can't change anything here. So whoever is logging in automatically it picks the person's name, and the person might just need to fill every other information here. Okay, so now let's do another thing on our form. Let's make additional changes. Let's unlock this as well. Okay, so the next thing I want us to do is to so rather than putting in the start date, end date, and now putting in the number of leave days as well, we might just want to put the start date and end date, and it should automatically calculate the difference between those two dates, right? So let's do this. So there is a function, we'll go to the default property of the number of leave days. There's a function called dateDiff, which is the date difference, right? So let's say dateDiff, right? Then what date difference, what's the start date, what's the end date? Those are the parameter is asking us. So the difference between these dates, whichever date was selected on our start date, so we just select the control and get the name of that control, which is data card value 3. This should be data card value 4, right? So just go here to the default and say our start date is data card value 3 dot selected date, and our end date is data card value 4 dot selected date. Then we close. So we can also specify which units we want it to return in. Is it in days, is it in hours, is it in milliseconds or months and all of that. So we want it in days, so we'll select days. So if we go here and say start date is 22nd, for example, and our end date is 25th. So you can say 22 to 25th. So that's about 3 days. That's what it's telling us here. So here now we can also disable this field so that once it calculates, I'm unable to come here to modify whatever changes I have in here. So I go to display mode and change the display mode again to display mode dot disabled, something like that. Yeah, so I can then select my manager, select every other thing. So um there is still a challenge with our form, which means we only have a single field that is required, which is this one that has asterisk. Every other field here is not required, which means I could just easily not fill any of this information and I'm still able to submit my form. So we want to prevent that. We want to make all the fields that are required, and maybe if there are some other fields that are optional, we can leave them as optional. So how do we do that? We go to our form and select the field we want required. We select the data card. So for example, I want this requester field to be required. So I just select the requester here and I go to, so notice that I'm selecting the data card and not the control inside. So the data card, which is the parent one, I go to the required property and change this to true. So which you see that it automatically puts an asterisk here. So it means it's required. So how do I do that for other ones? So I can just, to make it faster, I can just select, multi-select the other ones. So I select department, I hold my control, select every other field I want required as well. Manager, say the attachment might be optional, right? So I just go to the required field. Okay, I think I have a data card not unlocked yet. Okay, this, yes. Okay, so let me select this again, holding my control button, selecting all the control and the data cards, and I come to the required and I change it to show. Okay, so this helps me automatically make every other field here required. So what this means is see, now I've not filled in my department. If I try to submit, I've not filled in the title, it should show me error that you have fields that are required here, right? So personally, what I try to do is I try to gray out the button, the submit button, when all of these fields are not even filled. So you are not even able to click on the submit button until you fill all the necessary fields. So how do I do that? There is an option or a function called form.valid. So I'll just go to the display mode. So display mode is currently edit. So I can put a condition to check if the form is valid. If form is valid means I filled all of the required fields. So what's the name of my form, which is form 1? If form 1 dot valid, then it should be editable, which means this button should be editable, it should be clickable. Else, I want to make it disabled, which means it should be grayed out until I've filled all the required fields. So here now I can see that this button, I can't click on it, but if I go here now and fill in all the required fields, I should then be, you can see then it's enabled. So if I remove any of this again, it automatically grays it out. Then I have to fill in this and then I'm able to submit. So once I submit, then it does this. So you can see my form is reset again and the fields are blank and I can submit. So the last thing I want us to do for today is to see how we can get this button after submitting takes us to a particular screen. So it shows us that yes, this form has been successfully submitted. So this makes for a better user experience, because when you click on it, you are not sure what actually happened, if this was submitted or not. So we'll just insert a new screen, a success screen. So there's a template for success screen already. We just select that and say we can insert a button to take us back to maybe the home page or something like that, or maybe the request history screen. So let's rename this to request history screen, right? Then we have this as well to be success screen. Yeah. Okay, now that we have this, we go to our request history and this. So what we want it to do is to automatically navigate us when you submit this form. It will take us here. So let's change this button to OK, and maybe OK should take us to the request history screen so that we can see the history. So we call this navigate to request history screen. Okay, so we have that. Let's go back to our form. So remember, in the last class we talked about the unsuccess of the form. So this unsuccess property means when you submit the form and it's successfully submitted, what are the actions that should take place? So besides resetting the form and creating a new form from here, we can as well tell it to navigate. So let's say navigate to success screen. So this should tell us that yes, it has been successfully submitted. So if I go here now and I put my details, select the leave type, select my start date and my end date, okay, and select my manager as well, right, and I submit. Yes, so you can see this is telling me that this is successfully completed. Of course, this can be also customized to show request successfully submitted or something like that. You can always customize this. And when I click OK, it just takes me back to my history screen. I can see the request history of all my requests that I have submitted. So I think that should be it for this particular class. I don't want to overload us with a lot of things, but I hope we've learned a few things from what we've done today. So just a few recap of the things we've done. We are able to create a request, automatically populate the name of the requester, make it navigate to the um, success screen when we submitted. We also inserted a gallery on our request history screen, which shows us the history of all the requests, of course. And in the next class, we are still going to design this further to make it look much more user friendly. So we also said we started the Office 365 users connector, which is helping us populate certain attributes from the logged in user. We set a variable on our stats and all of that. So I hope you learned a few things from this class. So I'll see you in the next class. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.